In this demo, we're going to rebuild our contact manager application, but this time using the toolkit's infrastructure. So instead of using the Windows Phone empty cloud application template, we'll use the phone cloud application template, which provides a sample application that we'll be building on top of. So let's go ahead and create a contact manager project again. And again, I'll select Windows Azure Storage and the local storage emulator. I'll disable push notifications, and I'll keep the default option for user authentication. And this time we'll be using authentication. So the first thing we'll do is remove a bunch of things that we won't be using in our application. So for example, here in the pages, we'll only keep the login and register pages. We can remove the pivot content folder since we won't be using a pivot control. Let's also remove design data. And in the view model directory, we'll remove everything that's specific to the sample app, and we'll keep the infrastructure things. So here, I'm removing sample data details and these two here. And we'll be using the rest of these, as we'll see. Okay. And in the models, we can remove sample data, and we'll import our own model class, which is the contact class that we've created previously. All right. Now let's go ahead and create our main page, or recreate it. So Windows Phone portrait page, and we'll call that main page. And as usual, I'll import some markup here for the sake of time. Okay, so now we have a contact list page that will list contacts retrieved from a table. Now, this application is an MVVM application, so we need to create a new view model for our new page. So let's create a class, and we'll call it contact list view model. And we'll make it extend the table view model, table base view model class, and it takes a generic parameter. So here we'll specify our contact model class. Now, if we examine that base class, notice it contains all the infrastructure that we need. Before that, let me change this. Since we've removed the pivot item view model, I'll make it extend the base view model directly. Now, this class defines a context, which is of type iTableServiceContext, and a load table method, which does exactly what we're doing when accessing Azure tables directly from our Windows Phone application without using the toolkit infrastructure. So here, this is defining a table URI that's compliant with the OData semantics. So it's providing a table name and calling load async. And in the callback, it's checking for cancellation or errors and for any continuation token. So all the infrastructure that we need for loading data from an Azure table is contained here. Now, there are only a couple of things that we need to do. One is to provide a constructor that we'll call the base constructor and pass to it a factory class instance. The reason for this is that the application is using a dependency injection pattern, so we need to pass a cloud client factory to it, as well as a dispatcher. So let's retrieve the current deployments dispatcher and pass it to the base constructor. The other thing we need to do is override the table name property to provide our own table name, which is contacts. Okay, that's all we need to do for our view model. Now, back in our view, we need to hook up our view with the view model. So to do this, we'll define a convenient property here, a view model property. And let's instantiate our view model here. Oops. Okay, and the last thing we'll do is handle the loaded event for the page in order to actually load the data from the contacts Azure table. So here, if view model is not null, then we'll invoke the load table method in our view model. Now, before we run this, notice here in the app.xaml file, remember that there's an Azure Storage Table Proxy endpoint defined, which points to the Azure Table Proxy handler that's provided by the toolkit in the web application. And this handler, again, takes care of cloud authentication for us. Okay, and we'll talk more about cloud authentication in a little while. Now let's go ahead and run the cloud project. And once this is running, we'll be able to run our Windows Phone application. Okay, now let's debug. Let's start a new debugger instance here for the phone application. And we'll be presented with the standard login page that's provided in the sample app. So that's conveniently reused in our own application. I've previously created a login, so my password. And remember, you can create a login using the web application interface. And this is displaying the contact list directly, which is the main page that we've redefined. So in this demo, we've looked at how we can build on top of the sample MVVM phone application provided in the toolkit to reuse the login and cloud authentication infrastructure.